to another. Don't forget, the fire is still burning, so we're going to move straight on to another conversation. I think you're going to enjoy this one too. So without further ado, let me invite up onto the stage, and please give him a very warm welcome, William Bill Heinecke, who is founder and chairman of Minor International PCL. So, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, Bill. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, we want it to be as conversational and as intimate as possible. We're billing this one, we're billing you, to be honest, as a navigator of change. And we want the insights of you and your pretty remarkable journey. So for those of you who don't know Bill and his backstory, I think, again, Bill, it's very useful to sort of start at the beginning. And when I tell people that your first job involved, I think I got this right, selling ad space on a newspaper while also being in the office cleaning business.
That's right.
Yeah. Explain how, as a teenager, doing all of that led to all of this, the CEO's journey. What was going on back then?
Well, you know, there was so much pressure on me because I was going to be the very first Heinecke in my family to go to university. So
where were you living at the time?
In Thailand, in Bangkok. And so the buildup of that was the fact that I was living very comfortably. I had moved out of my house. My parents were great supporters and friends, but they knew that I was going to come back and go to university. And as the buildup for university came, I was supposed to go to Georgetown, and they had a school for foreign business management, and they told me that I couldn't have a car on campus the first year. I had to live on campus. I had to make my own bed every morning. I was going to have to make my own food. I was going to, really live a life that I hadn't lived ever.
This sounded like too many rules for you.
Exactly. So I decided, that's it. I'm going to start my own company, and I was 17, so I called it Minor. And nobody would give me a job anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm just struggling to get my head around this because I have kids who some years ago were 17 and they were in no state to be founding a business age 17.
Well, I borrowed $1,200 and at 5% interest a month. You know, I'm not worried about interest rates anymore because I paid 60% per annum when I started my business. And I also immediately decided that I was going to get married. So I got married at 18.
You were a pretty precocious 17, 18-year-old.
And everybody thought I was too young, so I grew a beard. And I've been married now for 55 years, which is quite a record for most people because people have been married for 50, not usually to the same woman, and not usually in Thailand.
Yeah, it suggests your long-term decision-making is kind of quite good, even at an early age. So let's get from the early beginnings where you were a scrappy kid who was involved in all sorts of things, and this office cleaning intrigues me, but let's not spend too long on that. But how did you transition? You obviously began to make a little bit of money. How did you transition from that into hotels and real estate and all of that?
Well, we loved food, and Bangkok or Thailand in those days was just emerging. There was no such thing as McDonald's or Burger King or Pizza Hut or any of the big brands. And sort of like everyone else, I saw a big gap and decided to fill it. So the very first things that we embarked on with the money that we made from cleaning and advertising was food. So we brought pizza, we brought ice cream, we brought so many different brands to Thailand and filled a gap that wasn't being filled.
So you were very committed to Thailand. I mean, obviously you sound to all of us American, but you were based in Thailand and you wanted to build a business there.
Yes, absolutely. And I am Thai. I adopted Thai citizenship about 30 years ago.
Oh, really?
And it was a way of sort of, it also was beneficial that I gave back my U.S. passport, which I don't know what I would have done if I was still an American citizen today.
When you say beneficial, you mean beneficial because the IRS can't chase you anymore?
Well, actually, to be really beneficial, I can own land in Thailand because I'm considered a Thai.
Yes.
And now our family is 4 generations Thai, so...
Well, I'm sure the IRS is missing you, Bill, but I suspect you're not missing them.
Yeah, not at all.
So let's get now to the evolution of a CEO. You started out in food, but you got into hospitality as well and a whole bunch of other things. What was your sort of philosophy for growing the business? Did you have one?
No, we really didn't. You know, we were really just trying to make sure we could make payday the following week. You know, today we have about 90,000 employees around the world, and I always figure that if we can make payday, then
Wow,
we're good for 30 days.
That's big, 90,000.
Yes, and it's like a small
so break
country.
that down. What is the the proportion of your business in different sectors?
Probably the hotel field would have about 60,000, and the food business would have close to 30.
Right. We just a short while ago heard from Taj Hotels about their sort of growth and their global brand and the degree to which they juggle, their commitment to the national market and the international market. So tell us a little bit about Minor and how you play that.
Well, we've sort of evolved from a very humble beginning. One of our well-known brands is Anantara, which began in 2001.
Right.
Today we've got about 50 of them around the world, and that's one of our star brands, you might say. But we've also acquired along the way. I was very intelligent. I went and made an acquisition of a company called NH Hotels in Europe, which has about...
Which is a huge brand in Europe.
It has about 350 hotels, and I bought that a year before COVID. Well, I never knew how to lose $1 billion, but I learned very quickly, and that was a very, very expensive learning about, no one had predicted that that would be one of the things that could go wrong in an acquisition of $3 billion.
Yeah.
COVID was a disaster.
Are you still feeling the pain?
No, we're out of it. I'm happy to say we made a profit the last quarter of last year, and this year we'll probably, if with a bit of luck, we may have our biggest year ever.
I'm interested that you would make such a huge investment in Europe, which, you could be tempted to see as a bit sort of sclerotic, a bit stuck, a bit sort of plateaued in terms of economic growth and the future when, you're in Asia, vast growth potential. We're talking about the Middle East and its vast growth potential. Why did you decide to put so much money in Europe?
Because of China.
Explain.
China's, going to become the biggest traveling nation in the world. Today I think not even, 4%. We were talking about 4% of the world traveling, but not even 4%, I think, of China has passports and what have you. So, you're going to see when China starts going, they were going before COVID, and when they go now, they're going to be going more to Europe. They've been to most of Asia. They've been domestically. They've been all over. The country is still posting numbers that are bigger than 2019 for domestic travel.
Yeah.
But international travel is yet to be unleashed.
Really?
Yes,
you feel,
absolutely.
and you feel that the Chinese are absolutely, they're going to overcome maybe their conservatism, any fears they might have, and they are going to really focus on Europe.
I think they're going to focus on places that they haven't been. Africa is another big one for us. They don't need to go to Paris to shop for Louis Vuitton. They've got Louis Vuitton in Beijing and Shanghai and half the cities. But they're going to go for the food. They're going to go for the culture. They're going to go to see things that they can't see in their own country. And that's the whole thing about travel.
So you did the big Europe investment. Right now, I asked Mohammed Alabar where and what excites him the most. Let me play that one on you. What's getting your pulse racing right now?
Worrying about what could be the next thing that goes wrong. No one told me about COVID. Nobody told me about the tsunami, which destroyed many of our properties. And no one told me about the economic crisis of '97. So we've tried to survive all of these things. But what scares me the most is what I don't know that's going to happen. I'm not worried about oil prices, interest rates, what have you. Even the fact that if your model today depends on cheap labor, cheap energy, or cheap money, it ain't going to work. So fortunately, in our business, we have the ability to adapt to those things, and we'll be able to overcome those challenges.
One challenge that we do know about that is not anymore a surprise, but something you seriously have to think about is the impacts of climate change.
Oh.
Yeah, so
tell me about it.
Yeah, well, you tell me about it. How are you adapting your business, and to what extent is it now the top priority when you're looking forward on a 10, 20-year span?
We're like every other hospitality company. We're very focused on emissions and net zero carbon, and we're in the FTSE for good, and we're in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of this is out of our control now. The weather that we're seeing, the El Nino effect, all we can do is try and patch it where we can, and hope that the things that we're doing now will begin to make it a little bit better in the years to come. But for the travel industry, the weather patterns, people book their vacations very often 6 months or a year in advance for their holidays or what have you. And then, of course, you have El Nino, and the heat gets so intense that it's perhaps greater than even in the Middle East in summer, in Europe, and then you suddenly find people canceling at the last minute and changing their destinations and wanting to go to cooler climes or whatever. So it's wreaking havoc with everybody.
Does it worry you that yours is a business that, it depends on interconnectivity, it depends, frankly, on aviation, and, no politician is suggesting that they're going to try and heavily penalize flyers now, but look ahead 10 years, 20 years, we've got this net zero target 2050. Unless we can find a different way of fueling our aircraft, there may come a time when it's, there are punitive taxes or other ways in which governments try to control the number of people flying.
But that's not all bad. I think we're already working on, Europe is working on this, the new fuels that will make it much more sustainable to fly. And I wouldn't be surprised that that's going to be mandatory for airlines to use. But, we can't stop travel. But what we can do with these higher prices, and we're seeing it right now, you're seeing double the price for aviation to fly. You're seeing hotel rates that are much higher than they've ever been.
Yeah.
And that's reducing the amount of travel. But it's not necessarily reducing the length of time people spend in hotels or how much occupancy we have. You've got people that now work a 3-day work week or a 4-day work week. They've got more time off. We're seeing an impact on that on the whole travel industry.
It's very interesting. You talk about, we see higher prices in hotels, and of course that has a knock-on effect, the numbers of people who can come and the kind of people you get. In your business, do you love luxury? Do you think that more and more you're going to sort of focus your business on the luxury end of the market?
No way. We're interested in experiential travel. All of what we're trying to sell is experiences. Whether it's at a 3-star hotel or a 6-star hotel, it doesn't matter. The point is you're selling an experience, and that's what people travel for. And you don't need to have a luxury experience to experience the Mozambique and to see diving with the mantas, or going to the elephants in the north of Thailand. This is an experience you can have, and you don't have to be in a luxury tenant camp, which we have, but you can also be in an ordinary hotel and go through that same experience.
How much of the time do you spend on the road? I mean, how important for you as a business leader is it to actually see the projects that you've invested in, to actually be on the ground, talk to your staff? How do you do it?
I love it, and I spend about 2 weeks of the month traveling, and so half my time is in the air or moving around the world.
You don't get sick of it?
No, not at all.
No?
And no, how can you get sick of it? You get given the best hotel rooms. You're fed royally everywhere you go.
Yeah, I dare say
the staff are falling over you. You can't
probably
get tired
get
of that.
a pretty good service
Yes,
in
absolutely.
your hotels. I would think that.
Even in other people's hotels, So somebody asked me just recently, which was the best hotel that wasn't one of mine that I stayed in, and I had to explain that, listen, we love to stay in other people's hotels because you're not making notes about all the things they're doing wrong. So I'd much rather stay in somebody else's hotel sometimes.
And I think people here would love me to ask what your view is of the potential looking forward of UAE, of the wider Gulf region. Is this somewhere I've used this word several times now, but I'm just interested in your take on it, that it might reach a saturation point, or do you see?
I don't think so. When you look at what's happening in Saudi, this is a incredible, it's going to make, so many new bucket lists for everybody in the world. And, even what's happened in the Middle East, Dubai, Doha, it's incredible. Come on, you can't.
It is incredible. The numbers are incredible. Yeah. What's particularly incredible right now is the scale of the Saudi ambition.
Absolutely.
And
they've got a leader that's young enough to see them all the way through.
Yeah.
The vision. You need someone not only that has the money, but you need someone that has the vision and the passion to stay with it. These projects are going to take 10, 20 years to materialize.
Do you think tourism changes the countries which place a big bet on it, which open themselves up to, massive expansion of visitor numbers?
Absolutely. It makes them part of the world. It connects us all. It's a unifying effect.
So in that sense, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think the word is risk, but there is going to be real change. I mean, there's obviously been real change here with a fascinating conversation with Mohammed Alabar about the way Dubai has changed, but Saudi is going to change too.
Absolutely. They're going to try and do what it took Dubai 30 years. They're going to try and do it in 10.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yes, we're there in a very big way, and want to be there in an even bigger way. So we have hotels coming up all over Saudi.
Do you?
Yes.
Fascinating stuff. So we're going to see more of you in this region.
Absolutely. I come here, right now I've been coming virtually every 3 weeks.
Wow.
So it's...
Well, we're glad you made it to this particular event. Clearly, you've got a travel itinerary that many people would find dizzying, but you made it here, and we're very grateful. Bill Heinecke, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Bill,
Thank you very
much
much
indeed. It's been great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.